Welcome to another video. Hello. I hope you're doing well. Today we are going to look into inner conflicts and how they actually can really ruin your life. And I really mean this quite literally, right? This is um, this is a video. I want to make it a little bit light, but it's also some kind of, hey, people, take action. And I don't mean action in the outside world. I mean interaction. start to expand a little bit more in your consciousness and start to dive into, hey, this is actually not me, right? This is not how I want to be seen. This is not how I want to show up. But I'm showing up that way because I don't know any different. And so, giving yourself some kind of, okay, that's that. Let's see what we can do. So, what is an inner conflict? An inner conflict is when we say something, for example, but we don't really mean it. We are kind of wearing a mask. We are kind of trying to do something that we don't really feel. We do this for so many reasons, right? Oftentimes for social reasons, because we do want to stay connected to some kind of person, or we have the feeling that we need to stay a certain way because this is the work environment, this is how you behave, this is how you do, blah, 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 all the structures, right? And while maybe that has all its place, what I really want to dive into is, before we start to act, before we start to create, right? Start to be out there and everywhere and woo, right? How about we start to get a little bit more here? How about we start to, okay, now this thing happened, right? That's really not how I want to, that's not what I like. I feel unappreciated. I feel not enough. I feel crap about myself. And actually, this is not my normal state. This is not how I'm usually feeling, right? Usually I'm quite happy. Usually I'm quite peaceful, but this really bothers me. This is really something off the root, right? You can sense it when you start to having those little peak moments, those peak moments where you just want to, mm, throw something, right? Break something, when you get upset, when you're getting angry. This person just stepped over me, stepped over my boundary, and I told her or him that this is not okay. But then we are not showing up that way. We are actually quiet. Maybe you do the other way around, but you're not heard, or something in that way, where you are not feeling internally, it's not sitting right. Something feels off internally. So the outside circumstance might be crazy, right? Might be totally off, but you're not peaceful inside of you either, because you're trying to somewhat control something that you cannot really control. And you're trying to show up a certain way because this is how you do it. Maybe it's also because you have always done so, right? You have always followed that kind of path, and this is just what you try to continue. Whatever it is, this inner conflict is going to nag on you over and over again until you see, hey, actually, I never really stood up for myself, right? I was never really pushing people back, saying, hey, this is not okay. This is not how I want to be treated. Now, there are certain ways on how to say things like this, because I wouldn't say, hey, you crossed my boundary. I wouldn't say that, right? I would say it somewhat different. I would never say that, because I feel like if you're starting like that, I think it oftentimes comes across wrong. And so, you need to know my boundary. If you don't know my boundary, then something is wrong. And it's important to laugh at this moment too, because you see, you may have screwed up. You might, right? I mean, hello, this is life. Why not, right? Why not? But sometimes it's time to grow up just a bit more, right? Like one little layer, like one little layer more. And growing up, I don't mean you have to be serious. I mean, what about taking responsibilities for me letting that person speak the way to me? What about me not really caring that much what that person's saying? Um, Rather about, hey, I'm protecting myself and my own peace and my own space. And I'm doing that in XYZ, right? Understanding what your values are here. Like, how do you want to be treated? And actually, are you following your own script, right? Are you following that script of, hey, I'm actually treating myself nicely? Well, in that case, are you actually having enough sleep? Are you actually eating well enough? Are you actually doing the sports that are good for you? Are you moving your body? Are you actually doing a lot of self-care that actually underlines your statement here? Because if it doesn't, then it's kind of like, well, you are not really following that, and the way how people perceive you is exactly that. You're not following what you're saying. You're not following your own instructions. If we are not following our own instructions, then people will just fall into our space. And interestingly enough, as soon as we start to have our space ready and set, and we are actually doing those things that we or the way how we want to be treated, interestingly enough, is that when we start to really have that cleaned and look into the mirror, and we really say, hey, you know what, I know I deserve more, and I will give it to myself, because I know that is going to return over and over again, not only from myself, but also from others, because I'm allowing themselves to do the same. You see, I allow people to speak up the way how they want to be, because I'm doing this for myself too. I allow you to have your own mind of things, right? Your own, hey, this is my truth. This is the way how I want to go. But I also accept that mine might look really totally different. And you see, because you have your own and I have my own, how about maybe we meet somewhere? And I don't mean I need to compromise in that very, very big way, but I mean, how about we put both together and then have a new truth overall, right? How about we start to be more open, more flexible in what is our truth? You see, our internal conflict, or when we have this internal conflict, has oftentimes not so much to do with the other person, the other people around us. It's really much about, hey, I feel not treated really nicely. I have the feeling this or that. But the thing is, you can say to a person, hey, I don't feel you're treating me good. I feel you're doing this and this. You see, if that person is not acknowledging what you're saying, is not hearing you, is not listening to you, is not giving you the time to actually reflect or to get together, sometimes you also just have to be in the power and say, okay, well, maybe I need to go then, maybe I need to leave. You don't need to repair everything. You don't need to run away all the time. But sometimes a cut is required to feel good again about yourself, because you're all the time not looking at your own stopping points, right? You're crossing over because you're feeling, well, that person didn't know any better. This person didn't do this or that, or, making excuses for someone else. While you're not looking at your own inner world here that screams and says, hey, listen, I'm done. I don't want this anymore. I cannot do this anymore. I don't want to go anymore here. I don't want to see, I don't know, my family every single week and be reminded of this or that. So maybe you have to make a plan accordingly to say, okay, I don't know, I need a timeout. Like I need to really rethink our relationship. I need to reconsider where I want to go in life. Being yourself is difficult in that sense that when you start to change, people may not like it. And it's not about them liking you. It's about receiving the acceptance for being who you are, right? For me, it's about respect, yes, but it's also about I respect you, you respect me for being who I am, not being or wearing a mask. What does it help me if I receive your respect or your approval or whatever? What does that mean if I'm not myself? Well, zero has zero value, not 1%. What does that help, right? If I cannot show up as me, then we are in conflict, but like a bigger one. That's not helping me, right? That's not really helpful for me. So I'm trying to navigate easily, with more ease, sharing people, hey, this is who I am, giving them time to adjust. If it's your work situation, your work environment, speak up for yourself. You want a salary raise. Well, why do you need a salary raise? And what for? And why do you think that you deserve it, And if you feel like, oh, well, I've worked already here like 5 years and blah, 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 whatsoever, then this is already a reaction that you may want to look into. It was just a question, right? So it's interesting how people start to really feel attacked while it wasn't an attack really. So what you feel is the trigger to that because you never felt maybe valued. You never felt really good enough. And while me asking a question like this, you were already saying, well, why not? You know what I mean? So looking into those parts and not just ignoring it, and start to really dive deep to see who you are. And this might change a lot, and that's okay. You don't need to pretend that you are not changing over time. Well, of course you are, right? Of course you're growing up more and more, right? If you're at your 30s, you're growing up more and more, and you start to see the world differently than with 20, than with I don't know, 40, and now you're 50. You see things differently, and it's important to allow yourself to be different and to show up different and to have another way of doing things, right? Well, with that said, let me know in the comment section, what is it that you really want to hear more? I'm really curious about that. What is it that you need in your life the most? What is it that you really have troubles with? Let me know in the comments. And with that said, thanks and bye.